get sad, I guess. Like, we don't have a controller anymore. We're gonna have to fix that, especially since most of my YouTube videos use that controller settings. Oh man, that's not good. Either we're gonna have to find out what broke, or we're going to have to get a new one rapidly as well, because I use that controller every day I make YouTube videos, it seems like, or most days I make YouTube videos. So sad days for me. Anyway, happy days for us, sad days for me. Let's hop into this game. Let's see here. We got SpaceDogeMan. He is opening with a lab here. He's got some ticks planned, some pawns planned, and a couple constructors. It looks like he's going for 2 constructors right off the bat. Always a good idea to do. No e-stall there, which is great. And we got BeastEater on the other side here. He's got Cortex going for 3 constructors and a couple grunts right off the bat. A little bit less planned out than SpaceDogeMan. And as you know, with games like this, you want to be planned out. If you are not planned out, you are going to potentially lose your game, because the more micro that you can, or the more APM that you can save in your planning, the better off it is for you in your games. We got ticks coming across the game. We have a full factory loaded up with units that we know exactly what we're building, whereas with BeastEater, we do not have a full factory loaded up with units. That could end up stalling our early game out a little bit if we are not careful. We got a couple grunts coming across, just holding the position here as just a sentry, and an early radar tower to catch any early aggression we get with these ticks, especially as he shuts down the tick aggression rapidly and with ease. 3 more ticks coming across the battlefield here, and BeastEater is looking to get that mechs up into his grouping, get a little bit of that extra metal income, always a good thing to have. And the last tick runs off knowing that he stands no chance. We've got some pawns coming across, it looks like. How many do we have here? Let's see. We only have 2 pawns so far being made. We've got some solar panels as wind speed has died down a bit. That's always not a good thing to see, is when your wind speed drops to essentially 0. We got an AFK commander here as well. We kind of would want to see some expansion, I would guess, with the commander, or maybe building a single LLT could be nice on the front line to be able to hold, just protect your base. Having 1 LLT there is always a good idea, just in case one pesky critter sneaks into the back and destroys that base. We got some construction units going for some very basic economy increase here, and we got another construction unit going for some more economy, and we're going to be going with the very expensive Twilight, the stealth metal extractors. Those can be a good investment, but they do cost a little bit extra metal at 200 metal instead of a single 50 metal extractor, where each metal extractor is only going to be receiving 1.7 metal per second. So it's going to take several minutes to receive value back from these metal extractors, and they are going to take a while to build. They will, however, be harder to kill. I'm just not sure if this is the appropriate play here. I think it could end up biting him in the behind here later on. We shall see. Getting some energy conversion, always a good idea as you're stalling energy, or not stalling. As you're overflowing energy, there is no better option than to go for some basic energy conversion. That will give you proper uses of your economy, making sure to refine just as much of a maximizing as you can do here. We got some grunts and pawns on the front line. Looks like a standoff. Potentially the pawns being able to win this fight here. We got a total of 9 selected versus a total of 12. Now that the grunts have gotten reinforcements in, the pawns will easily be shut down, and honestly, they are kind of AFK right now. Not very good for SpaceDogeMan, as he is a little bit unaware of his front line at the moment. It could be very bad. These type of matches can end up spiraling out of control very, very rapidly. I would almost recommend that SpaceDogeMan starts building something a little bit longer range, because these these pawns are just getting shut down so quickly. It's not going to be a good deal for him as the game progresses. These grunts pushing across the map, looking for every opportunity to aggress. Thankfully, these are cloaked, so they might not get sniped down, and the blue obviously seeing, oh, there's nothing here, and maybe just walking right past these metal extractors could be valuable in and of itself, but he will likely end up running straight into them. That's the danger, is as he runs into them, potentially killing them right off the bat. Not a good idea. We got a couple more pawns coming out here. It is just looking worse and worse for SpaceDogeMan here, getting surrounded, his construction unit dying rapidly, and the grunts walking right by and finding the metal extractor but not killing it. It looks like, I don't know, there's one grunt here sacrificing himself with an EMP, and that was definitely not worth at that point. I do not think that mech's got its value quite yet, and it's very possible that this one gets caught as well. In fact, likely. Oh, we got an EMP there with a self-destruct. That was an excellent value there for SpaceDoge. I would actually recommend he does not degun this group, but eats up the wreckage. Using that metal to fund his armies would be fantastic, especially since he has so little map control now at this point compared to BeastEater. It looks like he does not go for that potential. Actually receiving a decent amount of value there. Getting how much metal? Yeah, getting a couple hundred metal just free for him to grab there. Obviously, he could have gotten a little bit more if he didn't degun them, as that shreds all the metal and just eviscerates it into tiny particles that are no longer being capable of being used. Unfortunately, that did happen. Now we have some grunts coming into the hills of this map. What's this map called again? The Halite Maze. The Halite Maze, who knows? Well, one of those is correct. And the hills of Halite are apparently devastating for grunts, as they are being guarded very well by these LLTs, who are getting definitely some strong value there. Unfortunately, we did see the constructor get sniped down on this side as well, and most of blue just using a little bit of aggression could potentially capture a lot of this map, as there are very little units out on the field here. I would love to see some res bots getting queued up. It does not look however, that is the case for red. There are units on the ground here to be resurrected into his army. He could have a decent sized army here. It looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like maybe 12 bodies that he could resurrect into his grouping here. We do have a Centurion. These are going to be very strong at pushing up against the grunts, as grunts are not going to be able to handle the firepower that a Centurion does have at its disposal, and the range also is very good at chipping away at the grunts without them being able to hit in. But the only problem with this map is how large it is. He's not going to be able to use the Centurion as effectively due to how slow it is, because it cannot get into the positions that it needs to be able to fight against these large armies here. We got SpaceDogeMan personally taking the stand, coming over here, gathering some of these mexes, and getting that economy back into his control. It looks like we have 200 metal coming in versus 18 metal coming in, which is honestly very surprising. I would have expected a lot more metal to come in from the BeastEater, seeming how he has so much map control compared to SpaceDogeMan, especially early on. It looks like he kind of floundered that opportunity, and now it is possibly turning the tide as SpaceDogeMan begins to capture more of these mexes. It could become very bad for him, but he does not see that his economy is about to be destroyed here. A big raid coming in from the BeastEater, wiping out all of his wind turbines, and thankfully the Centurions were here, able to shut down that raid rather quickly, but still it was a bit devastating for him. Almost lost even one of the higher health units, like the T1 solar panel. It does have quite a bit of health, so even losing that could be quite devastating for him as well. Any amount of damage you can do is massive when it comes to the economy. Our energy productions are starting to level out, but BeastEater is struggling still with having the metal production. He is not keeping up with the SpaceDogeMan here. Quite interesting to see. It looks like we have a heavy laser built here, which is going to be very tough. Even though Centurions do have quite a significant amount of DPS, going in with just a couple Centurions up against that many turrets is never going to turn out well. Turrets do have a lot of HP, or not a lot of HP. They have a lot of damage per second with a lower HP, while also having slightly longer range. So trying to use units that have longer range to counter the turrets is going to be a better decision on SpaceDogeMan's part. I would definitely recommend getting some rocket bots in here, if for nothing else, just to take out some of these light laser turrets as the game progresses. We got the commander coming up to the front here. We need to be very, very careful of that, because as the commander pushes up closer, the front line could end up pushing him for blue. Blue could take a couple units and surround the commander and end up killing him on the front line if SpaceDogeMan is not very, very careful here. I am very surprised to see that so much metal is on the battlefield right now. We have groups of 500, groups of 100, a couple hundred across the map. I mean, there's easily over 1,000 metal, I would assume, across the map here that is just being left available. Obviously, SpaceDogeMan and BeastEater both have a similar amount of metal in their total bars here as far as in their possession, and so they might not see a need to go for it now, but even just being able to resurrect it would be extremely valuable. It looks like we are getting a call from Badstrat. Welcome in, Badstrat. We are currently in the middle of a game against SpaceDogeMan and BeastEater.
Wonderful. How's it looking? We've just finished up our round 4 here. Reflection and Phyrexy took the dub, but it was a really good play. Almost one of the most incredible comp snipes we've seen in 1v1 on Bar Fight Night. Yeah, fill me in. Who's it looking like?
Well, it started out very interesting, actually, because we had SpaceDogeMan coming out with a little bit of a greedy build right off the bat, going mainly for economy and a slight early harassment, which got shut down pretty rapidly, and he was falling behind heavily and actually lost a lot of map control, but he's taken it back with a lot of the metal reclaim being on his side of the map now. It's looking like he could end up winning this fight. BeastEater going for a very interesting play with two different unit bays, essentially. He's got a bot lab on one side of the map and a bot lab on the other side of the map, so essentially splitting his
two labs. Wow.
He's splitting his forces in half, which is quite a unique response. But he is pushing a large amount of grunts into the base of SpaceDogeMan, who is he does not have the response he needs to be able to defend against this. So I'm very interested to see how this ends up turning awesome out. He does have some chat. Dragon claws.
Well, now listen, chat. Now you can catch the rest of that game over on Jaws Munch's channel. That's Jaws Munch 304. Go over, check out his stream for a second. And Jawsy, give me a call back when your round is over. And we'll
okay.
Round 5.
Absolutely,
right.
Absolutely.
Super stuff.
Yeah, thanks for calling. And it looks like the grunts have made quick work. SpaceDogeMan's energy has dropped down to a mere 90 energy production, starting to try to climb back up. But after a destruction like that, it would appear that the game could be over. He's got some Centurions holding these hallways, or these small hilly areas here, but he just is not going to have the resources to make it back from devastation like that. The metal production is the same, but the energy production is so far behind for poor SpaceDogeMan. He is not going to make it. He is doing a rush into the commander, kind of just charging his forces in, hoping for the best, and they are de-gunned down immediately. The energy is so low. He's having trouble firing these turrets, and going up against rocket bots is just not going to end well here for him. He's trying to use all of the metal he does have to start building some of these solar collectors, but it's just not going to be enough. I don't think he's going to have to start reclaiming some of this metal on the field. He really should have produced some of those res bots. As we see in some of the higher level games, res bots can be the difference between winning and losing matches. Where we only have seen constructors come out, definitely was not a good play on his part. He did invest a lot of metal into his defenses here, and they got a little bit of value, but not quite enough, I think, to pay for themselves at 340 metal apiece. And now we got a barrage of rockets coming in, landing on the commander. He has not enough energy to be able to cloak himself, and it is not looking good for poor SpaceDogeMan, struggling to run from this giant group of units that are charging in towards him here. Grunts coming in, getting the surround bonus, and trying to get a couple D-guns off. It's just not going to end up working out as more grunts come in, but from behind. This is definitely the end of the game for SpaceDogeMan. It is just not looking good. Every little shot is enough to devastate our poor commander here on the front. We do still have the lab coming up, and he's starting to get his energy back in control, but to hide from this large group, it's just a matter of time before they catch up with him. And it looks like we're down to the last bit, and he is gone. What a game. What a game. Absolutely fantastic.